Hi folks, I finally got some time to edit some video here on the coffee table. Still working on it, it's a work in progress. Here I'm taking the coasters that I poured out of the silicone forms. I poured these with some extra epoxy that I had after the initial pour. They turned out pretty good. So then I took the table and I flipped it over. It's time to remove the tape. And I don't see any leaks. I had one leak on one side, but that was from the edge, but it looks pretty good. This is always a painstaking part of the job, getting the tape off, and this tape stuck fairly well. This tape is what held the epoxy from going all the way through some of these cracks. And I had a difficult time. I even had to use the sharp chisel on a lot of it, and eventually I got most of it off. But this sticks really well, this tuck tape. I was surprised. Normally I use that Tyvek tape, and that sticks pretty good too, but I think this actually sticks better, and I think it's cheaper, which is always good. Then it was time to take that backer board off and see what that was like, and that turned out pretty good, getting all the silicone off here, and eventually I'll have to sand this down because it always sticks up a little bit on the bottom side there. It was a little difficult, but I got most of it off, and now I'm just sanding off all the tape debris, the sticky stuff, and that can be a little bit difficult too, just because it gums up your sander as you're going along. Then I flipped it back over to the top side and figured I would sand all the rough spots off the top here. And of course there was some tape that I had wrapped around on the edges, and that all has to be sanded off real good. And sanding here, I'll be able to see exactly where I'm at as far as the level of the epoxy, because some did leak out on that big part down in the lower right corner there. And I'm thinking I might have to do an additional pour on that. But before I do that, I flipped it back over to the bottom side. You can see there's some impressions there that need to be filled, and they don't have to be perfect, but I wanted it to be perfect on the edges, so of course I had to fill the whole voids there in with the epoxy. And of course I mixed up my epoxy, put my pigment in, and away I went. And the tape holds that epoxy in really good. And I filled in a few cracks there. I seem to go a little bit overboard on things as time goes on, but I need to wrap this project up, so the bottom isn't going to be too concerning to me. But I took the additional that I had and wiped out just wiped it all on the entire bottom side there, just to seal it up good. I let that cure for a couple of days, and then it was time to take the tape off, and that was another painstaking job, especially on the edges there, because it had a little bit of rough, it's got that live edge, so I had to get I could do the sanding on the flat parts, but then I needed my Dremel tool to get the detailed parts, and more sanding. And then there was some really rough spots there, so I decided to get out my angle grinder and put the flap sanding disc on there, and that worked a lot faster. More sanding. You can tell these tables take considerable amount of time, especially with all the sanding and different coats of epoxy. So that's why a table like this is going to cost you anywhere between $1,500 and $2,500. It takes a lot of time. So here I'm flipping it over. I'm going to check out the other side. I want to sand it down really good and see what it looks like. That epoxy gums up your sandpaper quite a bit, so I just use an eraser on that. I got some low spots here, so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to tape those up and fill them in, especially over on this side here. I want to make sure that it's level with the top. After I had that sanded good, I went down in the basement. I looked at my CNC, and I wanted to measure exactly how big of a piece I could get into it. I wanted to see if I could personalize the corner of this table. for the people that I'm going to give it to. And by the looks of it, it's just not going to work out. So it's just going to be a plain table with no customization. I need a bigger CNC to do things like this. If there's anybody out there that wants to supply one, I'm open for that. I filled in the low spots on the table, and that's going to be a wrap for this video. Like and follow for the continuation of this table. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.